You deserve the glory and the honor. Lord, I lift my hands in worship as I glorify your name. You deserve the glory and the honor. Lord, I lift my hands in worship as I glorify your name. For you are great. You do miracles so great. There is no one else like you. There is no one else like you. Yes, so good to be back again. This is the gospel with Simply Chidi, and yes, I want to talk about the ability God has given you and the ability which God has given me. Sometimes we think the ability we have is just for nothing, but the ability God has given every one of us is actually for a purpose. You know, when we talk about Revelation chapter 4, verse 11, it said, all things were created. Okay, it's a song we all, a lot of people know about. Thou art worthy to receive all glory and honor and all power. For, for thou art created, and all things were created for thy pleasure and were created. It's not just the present, there's the present and there is a past. So think about it. Everything created was created for the pleasure of God. And yes, this is about something that comes with the season. A lot of times we see the troubles all around, we see the troubles in the world, but sometimes we fail to think about what have I done with the period? What have I done with the ability God has given me? Sometimes we think the ability we have is not good enough. But first, it's noteworthy to know that our ability is for the glory of God. And yes, why I have to talk about it, sometimes I just reflect and think about the thought pattern of a lot of people. A lot of people will think about, like, why do you have to speak about God? Why do you have to preach about God? But think about it, that is an ability which God has given to me. And God has given you the ability. I want to say, when people want to question what gives you the qualification, it's not about being a pastor, it's not about being a preacher. Who you love, you talk about. When you love someone, you do not need an authorization from anybody else to talk about that person. Someone who's married to a spouse, or you have a parent, a mother or father, you want to talk about that person. It shows. Think about it. A child has both parents, a father and a mother. It's very, very easy for you to distinguish who the child has some preference for, because that which the child has some preference for, that child will always speak about. When Jesus was leaving, talking about his ascension, you know, he left a mandate to his disciples. He said, go ye and be witnesses unto me. That's talking about Acts chapter 1, verse 8. When we speak about being witnesses, it's about saying, yes, I've experienced this person, I know this person, this is what I can say about this person. And sometimes the experiences we speak about these people is a profession of our heart. It's connected emotionally, it's connected psychologically. And yes, we want to talk about the ability. I do not need anybody's approval. I do not need anybody's permission to speak about a love for someone, a profession for someone. And yes, it's so beautiful because what comes out, what spews out of my mouth is a deposit, is the love of God that He has deposited in me. And I tell you, God has deposited this love in a whole lot of us, but a lot of times we lack the confidence to manifest this ability. This comes a long way because sometimes we think the ability we need is so far-fetched, we don't have what it takes. But we have to start with the ability we have. First of all, by giving glory to God, by giving Him all the adoration. Think about it. Sometimes we think the ability is only in the gifts and talents. Ability is never in the gifts and talents alone. And that is something that is really important, because whatever resources we have is an ability. You might think it's too small, But nothing has ever really been too small to glorify God. You know, a lot of people think, oh, it's my ability that is going to make me prosper. We think we want to use our ability to make wealth, to be successful. I like a saying of someone I know, he speaks it in a language and it translates as this: the hard work you want to put in your mind is only going to give you food to put in the mouth. That greatness that can be bestowed upon a man, that riches, that wealth, like that came upon King Solomon, that came upon the richest people, is always a gift for God, from God. So no matter how best you think you want to use your ability to make yourself prosperous, a lot of people think, I wish I could focus my ability on becoming prosperous. I wish I could focus my ability on becoming great. Great is actually a waste of time. You know, I like Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18. It actually states it's God who giveth the power to make wealth. In Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 17, the people had said in their mind that, yes, I have made this wealth in my power, I've made it in my strength. And God had to remind them to remember, it is me who gives you the power to make wealth. So think about it. First principles were created for the pleasure of God. We have to use our ability to give God glory. And yes, I see a lot of times where people think for you to speak about the love you have for someone, a bad son who is a thief still remembers his father. He might have done evil, he still remembers about his mother. He might have done evil so many places, but sometimes he brings that spoil back home. No matter how bad he is, he's still got that love for the parents. He's still got the love for the family. He still speaks good of his father amongst his peers, amongst his gang. Think about it. You think you have to be so special before you can come and speak gloriously about God. We are all as filthy rags before the Lord. And it's just by the grace, by the sacrifice of Jesus, that we all become presentable unto God. I like the story of the Jesus, a parable of which Jesus made of a Pharisee who came to pray in the temple, and the publican. The publican was a corrupt government official, tax collector. They were referred to as sinful people, and the Pharisee will come with a self-righteous cloak saying, oh, I do not fornicate, I do not commit adultery, I do not do a lot of stuff. And the publican, who was a sinner, came and said, God, he could not even raise his head up before God. He put his hand on his chest, struck his chest, and pleaded with God, saying, God, I need your mercies. I need your mercies. I am not good. I'm not good. Luke chapter 18, verse 40 says, I tell you, this man went to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalted himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. And why I have to bring this reference is because it's not your righteousness that makes you speak about your love for God. It's not your form of piety. It's not because you don't need to be called a pastor. Acts chapter 1 verse 8 says, go and be witness. Have you experienced the goodness of God in your life? The testimony you can bring out of your mouth is an ability. So you think you're looking for some special ability. Some people think like everybody who comes and speaks about the word of God, you have to be a pastor, you have to be in the context, Jesus never made reference to any word pastor. Yes, those were offices that comes with the church. But for every man, God has given us an ability. And I want like us to look into the scriptures of 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 9. And Peter was teaching the people. It was like a message he was given before he had to leave. He said, use hospitality to one another without grudging. Be good to one another. Be nice to people. Accommodate people. And he said in verse 10, 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 10, he said, as every man had received the gift, even so minister the same one to another. Say for every man. He didn't say for every preacher. He didn't say for every pastor. He didn't say for every prophet. He said for every man. Say, as every man had received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of God, as an oracle. Yes, there's a reference to being the oracle, as oracle of the manifold grace of God. Think about it. For everything we do, we have a manifold grace of God upon our lives. So when you speak about God, you profess love for God. Even if you have to do it on the social media is a resource that you have at your disposal. I see this trend. A lot of people, if someone makes a funny joke and he clowns and some obscene kind of jokes, yes, some could be intellectual, some could just be naughty. You want to say, click the like, you want to encourage such, you want to give yourself a lot of humor. But sometimes when you see things that pertain to God, sometimes we shy away because we don't want people to see it on a post that, or that we on a timeline that we're liking something spiritual. The truth is that if you love God, you have to represent. It's an expression. It's an expression. It's an ability. And when we want to talk about that blessing which we crave for so much, it is God who gives. Okay? I was talking about 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 10. 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 11. I think I really need to read that. It says, if any man speak, I need to read this. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God. If any man minister, let him do it as the ability which God giveth, that God in all things may be glorified through Jesus Christ, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Think about it. If any man speak, it doesn't say not any pastor, not any prophet, not any evangelist. It said if any man speak. Think about it. Who's shuffling your mouth that you can give glory to God, that you can express the love? If you do not speak about someone, that means that person has a place in your life. There must be great expression, and the more you express, it's like the principle of the praiser who comes before a king. He beats a drum, gives a lot of glorious song to the king, and when a king just sits down, he just taps on the man and blesses the man. Think about it. Expression is powerful. Expression is an ability. You want to question why I come on social media? Yes, I have a camera. Probably you have a phone. Probably you have something you could use. I have a camera. I decide I want to use it to glorify God. You have something to glorify God. Sometimes we think it's all about what we want to get from God. What have we given to glorify God? How has our life become pleasurable unto God? We've been so focused on the coronavirus, on the trends of the world. I think now is the time to focus on God, on how our lives will give God all the pleasure. If you want to be great, it's not in your power. It's in God's, that is when God's ability will take over your ability. I like it to call it the master's touch. When God's ability comes upon your own ability, then great and magnificent things happen. But first of all, use your ability. The resources is an ability. Your gift is an ability. The expression of your mouth is an ability. Use it to glorify God. Your offering sometimes is just nothing because you just go to church and you just drop it. Sometimes there's a sacrifice of praise. There's a sacrifice of the heart, and it shows in our everyday life. What is your ability? You are full of abilities. Use your ability to glorify God and let the ability of God work to your life to make you come to fruition, to make you come to fulfillment, and to make you fulfill your purpose in life. Do have a wonderful week. Stay blessed.